kidding me right now? Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. We have a lot to cover. We're going to go through some kind of different stories to kick off the program. Then we're going to talk about Iran. We have quite a few New York State updates. It's just you and I. We've got a busy week of guests the rest of the week, but for this morning, it's you and I. So make sure you get your comments in at the number on the bottom of the screen. And how about this to start off our comments? We've got a new one to add to the board. Good morning from Dublin, Ireland. We got away from Dublin. So if you're new to the program, we have had a lot of great waves from people on vacation that, though they're missing, frankly speaking, wants to send their wave in. We can add it to the map. So I will get to that during one of the breaks. Add it. We have the Philippines. We have so many places in Europe. Of course, the United States. What else we got? Alaska. Iceland. So now we add Dublin, Ireland to the list of people sending in waves to Frankly Speaking. And thank you very much for thinking of us on your vacation. Hoping you're having a great time. Okay, we have a lot of, there's no real way to segue through any of these, but some are updates, some are just, I think you're going to find fascinating. How about this? The cradle of civilization may be turning into a dust bowl, and some Christians say the Bible saw it coming. The mighty Euphrates River, the legendary waterway that helped give rise to some of humanity's earliest civilizations, has been shrinking at an alarming rate, sparking fresh fears among end-time believers that an apocalyptic prophecy from the book of Revelations could be unfolding in real time. This coming from the New York Post. The famed watercourse winds nearly 1,800 miles from the mountains of eastern Turkey through Syria and Iraq, slicing through the ancient Fertile Crescent, the biblical cradle of civilization, before meeting the Tigris River and draining into the Persian Gulf. Now, as water levels plunge, prophecy watchers online are sounding the alarm over a chilling passage from Revelations 16:12, which says, I'm not sure what version this is, but the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. Now, for generations, some Christians have interpreted the verse to mean that the drying river would pave the way for a massive eastern army to march toward the Battle of Armageddon, the cataclysmic showdown believed to precede the second coming of Jesus Christ. The Euphrates also appears in the Old Testament. In Jeremiah 50:38, the Bible warns, a drought on her waters, they will dry up. The modern-day crisis, however, according to scientists, are rooted less in divine wrath than the environmental disaster. A 2013 NASA report found that the Tigris River and Euphrates River Basin lost a staggering 117 million acre-feet of fresh water between 2003 and 2010, roughly the equivalent to the volume of the Dead Sea. Researchers blamed much of the loss on aggressive groundwater pumping, compounded by worsening droughts, and you guessed it, I always got to sneak this in here, its own form of religion linked to climate change. And experts warn things could get even uglier. Anyway, I saw that this morning and thought, why not? We'll start with that to terrify you that the end times may be nigh as the cradle of civilization is drying up. All right. You know, we've talked about the rhetoric coming from the left, and unfortunately I could give you examples every day. As they're saying horrible things about the president and MAGA, then they'll say, tone it down. After what now? The third attempted assassination attempt that we know of against the president. They'll say he needs to tone it down. Listen to this startling statistic. I believe this was coming from the Washington Post. About 1 in 4 Americans think the April shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was staged, with a marked partisan divide, according to a survey that was published yesterday. Roughly 1 in 3 Democratic respondents said they believed the event was staged, compared with about 1 in 8 Republicans, according to a survey published by NewsGuard, a company that rates the reliability of online news outlets. Respondents between the age of 18 and 29 were also more likely than older people to think the incident was staged, according to the report. There's just this hatred that unfortunately has corrupted so many people that did not support President Trump, that they actually believe that that was staged. Now, speaking of the rhetoric, and of course they tell us to tone it down, and we know James Comey is under investigation for his 8647 post with the seashells. And yeah, I saw yesterday, as one of the many protests on Market Street, someone proudly with a sign that said 8647. So I guess that is now a rallying cry, a threat, a call for assassination, as their own party believes that these assassination attempts were fake. We are in a very dangerous powder keg. The NewsGuard survey found that 24% of U.S. adults believe the incident at the Washington Hilton, the Washington Correspondents' Dinner, was fake, compared with 45% who believed it was legitimate. An additional 32% said they weren't sure. 32% said they just don't know. Sophia Robinson, the editor at NewsGuard, said it's very striking. The results underscore broader skepticism that Americans feel toward the government and the press. Increasingly, people on all sides of the political spectrum are distrustful of both the administration, also the media. So is this another example of MAGA people? The political spectrum, those on the right that don't trust the president? Is that what they're trying to push that message? The White House rejected the conspiracy theories in a statement provided after publication, saying anyone who thinks President Trump staged his own assassination attempts is a complete moron, said Davis Ingle. Joan Donovan, a Boston University professor who researches media manipulation, said the results are an indicator of the role of showmanship in Trump's presidency. Quote, it just seems incredibly Hollywood to imagine that this is staged. The entire apparatus of the government has been turned into a reality TV show. Another example of blaming the victim there. So there's an assassination attempt on the president and many people in his cabinet, and it's his fault people don't believe it because of showmanship? That he is a reality TV star? I mean, again, these are the same people calling to tone it down, and this is what we're hearing? This is unbelievable. I'm not going to go through more of it, but regarding the Butler assassination attempt, 24% of respondents said they believed it was staged. 42% of Democratic respondents said they thought the shooting was staged. 42%. Think of this. 42% of Democrats, nearly half, believe that the Butler assassination attempt was staged. I don't know. I guess they think fake blood, or I don't know. Meanwhile, 16% of respondents said they believe the golf club assassination attempt was staged. 26% of Democrats, 7% of Republicans. So only 26% of Democrats, not only, but believe that was staged. But 42% of Democrats think the Butler assassination attempt was staged to, I guess, benefit the president's reelection. In total, 21% of Democratic respondents said they believed all three events were staged, compared with 11% of independents and 3% of Republicans. Donovan said she wasn't surprised that Democrats were more likely to doubt the legitimacy of the incident, saying, quote, if you look among the folks on the left, there's a rising tide of conspiratorial thinking, and a lot of it has to do with people being very unsure about the reliability of all of our institutions. Jared Holt, a senior researcher at the online extremist tracking group Open Message, said these poll numbers don't terribly shock me. They're definitely bleak. Conspiracy theorizing has infected our body politic now to the point where it has become a gut reflex for a seemingly growing portion of the population. And again, to blame the victims. Unfortunately, when governments or institutions are hiding the truth about what they're up to, or they're playing fast and loose with certain regulations, or they're not imposing certain laws on different people, it is much easier to believe in a conspiracy against oneself than it is to believe that the system has become rotted, said Donovan. Wow. 40? I just can't get over that number. 42% of Democrats believe the Butler assassination attempt fake. 1 in 3 Democrats responding that the White House Correspondents' Dinner, because what, the media was involved to protect Trump or help Trump in some way? None of it makes sense. But again, if you have people out in the street, just locally, we're talking anecdotally, locally, that are proud to have a sign in their protest that says 8647, which is now got James Comey under investigation, and rightfully so. 86 meaning oust, meaning out the president. Then it should come as no surprise that they're also unhinged and delusional to the point where they believe that the assassination attempts, as they fan the flames and the hatred, that it's also fake. Wrap your mind around that. Okay. I see some comments coming in. We've got a couple of other, just again, no way to segue, but man, that is a troubling survey, isn't it? It should come as no surprise, as again, you have elected leaders and those in the media saying Trump is evil, he's a Nazi. Now he needs to tone down the rhetoric because of all these assassination attempts. It's mind-boggling, but that is where we're at, and you'll see it in some of the media coverage that we'll have later on the broadcast. Okay, like I said, I see some waves, I see some comments coming in. Please keep them coming in. On the program, we're going to be talking about Elmira Heights Board of Education on tomorrow's program, where we have a candidate, maybe a couple. On Thursday, we're going to talk with Taylor Malpas. We talked with his brother Chris the other day about their upcoming album, their gospel album. The Malpas brothers, I think you'll really enjoy them. Give them a listen. And then on Fridays, unless something happens in Albany, I've got to check in with them, but Fridays with Phil, if everything goes as planned. If not, I have a couple other guests that we're going to have to squeeze, not have to, we look forward to squeezing in there. We've got a busy week of guests because there's just so many events going on next week as well. As of right now, I think I'm booked up Monday, Tuesday, almost every day. So if you are, let me just do a little public service announcement. If you are running for office, I know the primary is coming up very soon. We mentioned it on yesterday's program. The Hornell Sun was kind enough to put together the areas that are affected by a primary. Now, if you are a Democrat watching this program, you do have statewide and countywide races. You have the New York State Comptroller, if you're a Democrat, that you have to vote for. There's a primary there. Again, this is June 23rd. And then the United States House of Representatives, Congressional District 23, which is currently represented by Congressman Nick Langworthy, a Republican. He will have a Democrat challenger, but as of right now, there are two Democrats vying for the seat, so there is a primary there. Then, if you live in the following towns, you will have a Republican primary. So if you're a Democrat, you have something to vote for in the primary. If you have a Republican, you have something to vote for. If you live in the towns of Campbell, well, I'm assuming you only live in one of the towns, but if you live in a town such as Campbell, Corning, Irwin, Lindley, Rathbone, you will have that primary election on June 23rd. So if you are running, you know somebody running, maybe it's for school board, maybe it's for, I don't know, in this case, let's see, town justice, town supervisor, council members, highway superintendents, various jobs up. If you are running, contact me at that number on the bottom of the screen. We'd love to have you on before the primary. And then if you don't have a primary, but you're running in the general, please get a hold of me so we can get something booked, because we want to be your home for all the information you need to know before you head to the booth in November or in the primary on June 23rd, which is coming up. I know it seems like a ways away, but June 23rd, right around the corner. There you go. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Elmira Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Elmira Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. If felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. After a bit of a chilly start to our Tuesday, we'll find ourselves with some sunshine, a high near 64, a bit on the cool side, then some shower chances overnight, bottoming out near 45 degrees. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm chances into our Wednesday, a high of 64 there. And then that'll carry into an early morning around Thursday. After that, we should be drying out, accompanied by a warming trend.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some of your comments. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. I wonder what Climate Fact Friday Bob thinks of the river drying up. The Euphrates? That's a good question. Comment from a different person. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Steve. It's not hard to believe that when I had a one out of four believed that the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting was staged. Democrats were living in a fantasy world where they actually believe that the Democratic Party actually does things to better people's lives. But they don't realize it's a Democrat Party that hasn't done anything in decades to actually help to better the working man. All the Democrat Party has done is create problems and then say that they're going to fix them and blame the Republican Party. There's nothing about the statement that can ever be debated because it is all true. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. For those of you that are wondering, want to get your tickets, the UFC fight, the real fight happening at the White House, is for those tickets. 4,000 plus spectators who are lucky enough, cunning enough, or rich enough will score a seat to the fight on the South Lawn next month. In trademark fashion, the president created demand for the event, held in conjunction with his 80th birthday on June 14th, and a months-long celebration of the nation's 250th anniversary, with a limited supply of tickets. Trump is handpicking most of the 4,000 plus spectators lucky enough, cunning enough, or rich enough to score a seat on the South Lawn. Quote, "I'm going to make a lot of enemies because it's impossible to get everyone a ticket," said the president. Technically, all the tickets are free, and the UFC is footing the bill for the event. But sponsorship packages that include ringside seats have been selling for $1 million or more, according to a Republican lobbyist directly familiar with the process. One report put the figure at $1.5 million. The White House directed inquiries about sponsorships to the UFC, which reiterated that it is not selling tickets to the event, but did not comment on where the sponsorship money was coming from. On an early call in May, Mark Shapiro, president and chief operating officer of UFC's parent company, TKO Holdings, said the company expects to lose as much as $30 million on the matches and other festivals in Washington. The cost hasn't dampened enthusiasm for the fight in the top ranks of the UFC league, and demand for the elite passes to the South Lawn is through the roof. Dana White saying, "It's crazy, it's insane. I only took a handful of tickets. I gave the rest of them to President Trump. I keep telling people I don't have tickets." White said he grabbed about 200, which are controlled by TKO Holdings. The president is splitting up his lion's share of the tickets among members of the military, VIPs, a set expected to include friends of the president, members of Congress, and even foreign dignitaries and administrative staff. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said, "I get calls, texts, or emails every day, a few times a day." Chung, a former UFC spokesman whose West Wing office is decorated with replica championship belts and other memorabilia, said he is keeping a list of the waiting list, if you will. Wow. Though UFC is still in the process of preparing an open-air stadium, complete with an octagonal fighting ring for installation on the South Lawn. Trump has shown renderings of the arena to Oval Office visitors while the UFC works to assemble a set boasting a massive centerpiece, a 90-foot-tall arc-like structure in rural Lititz, Pennsylvania. The pieces of the arena are being broken down and shipped to Washington, where it'll take teams nearly a month to reassemble it outside the White House. The league is also planning for as many as 85,000 people to watch on massive screens from the Ellipse, a patch of turf just outside of the White House, and Paramount Plus will live stream for subscribers across the country. I don't know. I didn't know if you wanted an update on that, but we went for it anyway. Hey, here's a big update. Representative Randy Fine, a Republican from Florida, said he is pushing to expel Representative Ilhan Omar, World War XI, Ilhan Omar, from Congress because she, quote, shouldn't be in the United States, let alone be a lawmaker. Fine shared his plan during an interview with Benny Johnson. He said Omar is problems on so many levels, including her Somali loyalty and her alleged immigration fraud. He said the third issue he wants to hit Omar on is the welfare fraud scandal that has rocked her state. Fine said 80% of Somalis that have come to the United States continue to be on our welfare programs. And it appears Ilhan Omar is tied up to her neck in all of that. Fine added he is waiting for more details about Omar's alleged welfare and immigration fraud before then taking the step to expel her from Congress. Omar moved to the United States in 1995 at the age of 12. She was elected to represent Minnesota in 2018, and many of her comments about America since have angered many conservatives. Those comments include the assertion that the U.S. was turning into one of the worst countries in the world, and the time she said America has committed unthinkable atrocities, just like Hamas and the Taliban. So we'll keep an eye on that, but Representative Randy Fine says he is trying to push to expel Ilhan Omar from Congress. Also, this fight in the GOP, this Thomas Massie, the representative, who goes against everything Trump does. He's kind of just become a fly in the ointment. He likes that status. We have another person who likes that status, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'll tell you about in just a moment. But the fight between Representative Thomas Massie and President Trump-backed rival Ed Gallerin is now the most expensive U.S. House primary in history. Also turns out to be one of the nastiest, too, according to Axios. One pro-Gallerin super PAC ad features an AI-generated Massie dining and holding hands with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, accusing him of cheating with the squad on the America First movement. Pro-Massie groups have attempted to brutally undermine Gallerin's MAGA credentials, labeling him Woke Eddie, and depicting the retired Navy SEAL in one AI-generated ad as a soldier abandoning Trump on a battlefield. Wow, they have the audacity to say anybody abandoned Trump? I mean, Massie has been, I don't know the percentage, but he's went against Trump on over almost every major issue. All of this backed up by, and by the way, I guess AI-generated ads are just now going to be completely acceptable, huh? Anyway, all this is backed up by more than $25.6 million in ad spending, which makes the fight between Massie and Gallerin the most expensive U.S. House primary in history. Wow, $25.6 million. The Kentucky 4th District race could end up clearing that figure by a significant margin of the last record, with a week still to go until the May 19th primary, so that's coming right up. Massie, an isolationist and one of the few Republicans willing to publicly criticize Israel, is facing a similar barrage from pro-Israel groups. The Republican Jewish Coalition has spent $4 million on ads supporting Gallerin, with AI PAC, Super PAC, United Democracy Project spending more than $2.6 million. Massie's increasingly public breaks with Trump have made him the target of Trump-aligned group MAGA Kentucky, which has spent $5.6 million on top of the $1.3 million from the Gallerin campaign itself. Massie, who is a good fundraiser, has spent $5.6 million on ads from his own campaign, with the pro-Massie groups Kentucky 4th PAC and Kentucky 1st PAC, another $4.6 million and $920,000 respectively. As if the tone of the race wasn't incendiary enough, a new ad goes so far as to portray pro-Gallerin donor Paul Singer, who is Jewish, with an unexplained rainbow Star of David in the backdrop. Wow. The minute-long ad accuses Gallerin of being bought and paid for by the LGBTQ mafia. That's an exact quote from the ad. Singer, a billionaire financer and GOP megadonor, has donated to LGBTQ issues and has a son who is gay. If Gallerin wins, the weirdos take over, said the ad, with text describing Gallerin's values as, quote, freak values. Massie's campaign did not respond to requests for comment on the story, nor did Singer or his hedge fund, Elliott Management. Wow. Well, that's going to be one to watch. Gathering advisor said Tom Massey's time as a politician is coming to a close, and it's a shame to see him end his career this way. Overall, Massey is somewhat outgunned, with 10.7 million supporting him to 14.3 million supporting Gathering. So we will be keeping a close eye on this. All right. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. We are running late. I knew it was going to be one of those chatty days. Yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene has started her next chapter when she's not on The View, when she's not on CNN or MSN Now. She is now in Costa Rica. Soon after her fiancé, Brian Glenn, resigned as White House correspondent, Greene shared a photo from a tropical location. I'm so thankful to start the next chapter with Brian Glenn. She fled the country to Costa Rica, according to Laura Loomer, where she's now living in a $5 million mansion after selling her home in Rome, Georgia for $1.1 million in March of 2026. Does this mean that Marjorie Taylor Greene has applied for dual citizenship or has already obtained citizenship in Costa Rica? Said Laura Loomer. And if so, how long has she been planning to flee the country to become a citizen of a foreign country as a now former member of Congress? The purchase of the property proves she began this process as a member of Congress, all while she pretends to be America first and America only. All right. A lot of updates there. I know. We're covering a lot this morning. Stay with us. We do have a lot on Iran, New York. We'll be right back. Yes, it is May 12th. Still no New York State budget. Stay with us.
Join Jabel and Horseheads for an on-site job fair Saturday, May 16th from 10 to noon. Explore careers in precision manufacturing, interview on the spot, and learn about our competitive pay, benefits, and tuition reimbursement. Don't miss out. Scan the QR code and apply today.
The thing more American than apple pie and 4th of July is baseball. This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Just turn on WJKP 48.2 and grab a comfortable seat right at home to watch baseball history unfold. Make sure you don't miss a home run. And tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Glass Back the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Whether you're in the market for new, used, or certified pre-owned, Simmons Rockwell locations across the Twin Tiers have more of what you're looking for with our best price right on the windshield. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
It's the tea party for Crystal with Miss Marshmallow.
Oh, wow.
And Sarah's first day of management training at Goodwill. When you donate to Goodwill, you help provide skills training and career placement. And the things you love start a new life too.
Join Jabel and Horseheads for an on-site job fair Saturday, May 16th from 10 to noon. Explore careers in precision manufacturing, interview on the spot, and learn about our competitive pay, benefits, and tuition reimbursement. Don't miss out.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Jack. Jack thinks President Trump needs to back off the threats and not keep talking about it. It'd be much scarier to be quiet and unpredictable. Maybe even let them feel like they won a little. Maybe he needs more quiet diplomacy. I'm assuming that's in Iran because President Trump said yesterday he may go back to the fight, that the ceasefire is on life support. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Jack continues, I asked AI if it could solve the Iran problem. It gave several paragraphs and concluded the most realistic role for AI is probably improving verification, helping intelligence agencies detect threats, supporting missile defense, reducing misunderstandings and assisting diplomacy. I thought maybe he was going to tell me it could infiltrate their computer somehow. Thank you very much, Jack. Appreciate that. Dr. Anthony Fauci survived a 5-year legal battle yesterday, or 5-year legal deadline, to face criminal charges for allegedly lying to Congress about funding risky research in Wuhan, China. But he isn't quite out of the woods yet. Fauci testified to a Senate committee on May 11, 2021, that he did not fund gain-of-function research that genetically altered coronavirus in the same city where the COVID-19 pandemic started, as he tried to tamp down the now dominant lab leak theory. Evidence later proved he did. The country's former top infectious disease officials still could face other potential charges for lesser-known contested testimony or for allegedly conducting alleged conduct stretching closer to the present day, such as for conspiracy, insider said, even though his best-known alleged crime went uncharged. Those potential cases aren't necessary as clean-cut for public consumption as a lab funding denial, but could still give the controversial doctor a day in court. Moreover, a federal prosecution would put to the legal test former President Biden's pardon of the once famed doctor that was signed by AutoPen. It is interesting the DOJ didn't get around on this quicker. We know this was a passion for many in Washington to hold him accountable, also for Trump. A Trump administration official said accountability for pandemic-era misconduct is non-negotiable. This administration is aggressively exploring every legal avenue to hold every possible individual, entity, organization, and government official accountable for COVID-era wrongdoing. Pressure to prosecute Fauci intensified last month when the famous doctor's former senior advisor, David Morans, was indicted for allegedly breaking the law to conceal the origins of COVID-19. Morans faces 1 count of conspiracy, 2 counts of destruction, alteration, or falsification of records, and 2 counts of concealment, removal, or mutilation of records. Senator Rand Paul, to whom Fauci allegedly lied about financing Wuhan Institute of Virology experiments that modified at least 3 coronaviruses distinct from COVID-19, tweeted repeatedly about the deadline in the past week. Paul referred Fauci 3 times to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution and garnered significant social media attention and frustration from anti-Fauci public figures who said he was escaping justice. Paul tweeted yesterday, whether the DOJ decides to charge Fauci or not, I'm not letting up. In fact, later this week, I'm holding a hearing with a whistleblower. Maybe the American people will finally get the answers they've been looking for. So that is an update. There is no limit on treason. Well, that's going to be the biggest, and this is the same with, actually, I have, weirdly enough, a Hunter Biden update. But when his way out the door, when Biden signed all these pardons, there is some question on how to maneuver around them. That could have been the delay with Fauci. I'm not sure, but I'm kind of surprised nothing was done. And that would have been, for lack of a better term, the easiest case to go after because it was easy to grasp when you saw what he said and what was actually the case. Now, since I mentioned it, let's talk a couple of little quick things about Biden. Then I've got some other stories as well. So, former President Joe Biden intends to intervene in litigation to block the Trump administration's effort to release 70 hours of partially redacted audio recordings of interviews he conducted in 2017 with a ghostwriter who worked with Biden on his memoirs. DOJ lawyers told a federal judge in Washington on Friday that they expected Biden would seek to prevent any such disclosures of the audio tape to Congress and to the Conservative Heritage Foundation, which sued last year to access some materials. That's a weird way they worded that. But Biden is going to fight the DOJ's plan to release the audio of his talks with his ghostwriter, is basically what it boils down to. A spokesman for Biden said President Biden cooperated fully with special counsel Hur and agreed to provide audio tapes of conversations with his biographer for a book about his deceased son on the condition that they would not be made public. The DOJ themselves have said these tapes serve no public interest. What's happening now isn't about transparency, it's about politics. If the administration were generally committed to transparency, they would release Volume 2 of Special Counsel Jack Smith's report on Donald Trump's own alleged mishandling of classified documents. The report contains information Americans actually deserve to see. Now, a Heritage Foundation official said these tapes will further prove the massive lie regarding Biden's fitness for office and the fact Biden revealed classified information. The shenanigans aren't over. At the last possible second, and for every delay tactic possible, the auto pen is objecting to the American people receiving transparency. The audio was obtained by investigators working with special counsel Robert Hur. Hur was appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland in 2023 after classified information was found in files from a think tank Biden was affiliated with after leaving the vice presidency and in files at his Delaware home. Hur ultimately decided not to charge Biden, if you recall, because of his poor memory. He was too grandfather-like. So they're stopping those tapes from being released. Also, if you get bored, it's online, but days after reaching a plea deal with federal prosecutors on his unpaid taxes and a felony gun charge back in 2023, Hunter Biden appeared panicked and short-tempered, according to leaked footage from a new documentary about the former first son. So after he panicked over the plea deal, remember how they had a sweetheart plea deal and then that backfired because they wanted even more? Hunter Biden said, and you can watch the clip for yourself, "What are you talking about? I'm protected." Morris, a novelist and producer, has been trailing Biden with a film crew between 2021 and 2024. Wow. During his father Joe Biden's White House term, he also documented the scandal-scarred ex-lobbyist foray into the art world. This is going to be an interesting documentary. In addition to recording the self-taught artist gallery opening in LA and New York, Morris was seen directing a film crew tapping Hunter Biden outside courthouses where Biden appeared, or taping, I should say, Hunter Biden outside courthouses where Biden appeared on tax evasion and gun charges. Morris even took his cameras to Serbia, where his crew was accused of crashing the set where filmmaker Phelim McClure was shooting My Son Hunter, a flick mocking the Biden family that was distributed by Breitbart in September of 2022. Now, the footage seen by the Post is time-stamped June 29, 2023, 9 days after Biden's attorney made the plea deal. "Who am I protected by, George? Who am I protected by?" Hunter yells into the cell phone. The video clip also shows Burgess contemplating a new work by Biden, who appears with the end of a paintbrush in his mouth and holding his toddler son, Beau, on one hip. Anyway, you can watch the footage yourself. That's enough on that. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Oops.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Accident. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Value days are here, and our prices are lower than ever. Stop by your neighborhood value home centers and spring into savings. Save $20 on the Never Kink Heavy Duty 50-foot hose, just $19.97. Greenworks 24-volt cordless outdoor tools are at value. Save $20 on the 12-inch string trimmer and edger, now $79.99. Save $30 on the brushless blower, just $109.99.
Value for the do-it-yourselfer. In you.
Alcoholics Anonymous. For more information, visit aa.org.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. After a bit of a chilly start to our Tuesday, we'll find ourselves with some sunshine, a high near 64, a bit on the cool side, then some shower chances overnight, bottoming out near 45 degrees. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm chances into our Wednesday, a high of 64 there. And then that'll carry into an early morning around Thursday. After that, we should be drying out, accompanied by a warming.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I didn't catch all about Hunter Biden, but I thought his old man pardoned him. He did. This was before the pardon. The footage was from when they had that original plea deal that kind of fell through. So that was dated before the pardon. The pardon was kind of the way out the door. Okay. We got a couple things before we talk about Iran, but did you see this story that broke yesterday? A mayor of Arcadia has admitted to acting as an illegal foreign agent of China, resigning from her position in a shocking federal plea deal that was unsealed on Monday. Eileen Wang agreed with prosecutors that she worked with the People's Republic of China to boost propaganda with a fake news website on U.S. soil between 2020 and 2022. She was elected to Arcadia City Council in November of 2022. The city is located in the San Gabriel Valley within L.A. County. Wang, 58, worked with her then fiancé, Mike Sun, on a website called U.S. News Center, which claimed to be news sources for Chinese Americans. But in reality, the pair were carrying out Beijing's orders through the site. Wang and Sun executed directives from the Chinese government, posting propaganda designed to boost China, all while reporting back to their masters with screenshots showing how many people view their stories, according to the plea agreement. In one case, Wang's spy master ordered her to post pre-written news articles, including a PRC official written essay in the LA Times. The plea deal states, there is no genocide in Xinjiang. There is no such thing as forced labor in any production activity, including content production. Spreading such rumors is to defame China, destroy Xinjiang's safety and stability, wrote Wang's masters, according to the plea agreement. Wang complied, and her handler wrote back, so fast, thank you, everyone. In another case, her boss commended her on page views received by a certain piece of propaganda. She wrote back, thank you, leader. Wang pled guilty to the federal charge at her arraignment in downtown Los Angeles on Monday afternoon. She faces a maximum of just 10 years in prison. LA's top federal prosecutor said that this is not the first time China's been caught trying to exert its influence in the U.S., of course. We even saw it in the offices of Governor Kathy Hochul, where you had that alleged Chinese spy working for Cuomo and then for Hochul in a high position. Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. Arcadia Mayor Eileen Wang admits acting as a Chinese spy, running a fake news website with her ex-lover in a shocking plea deal. Again, I guess it's about knowing who you're voting for, right? I think it boils down to that. Doing a little research. Okay, before we get to Iran, we received a note from the president's office saying he is scheduled to see doctors for a medical and dental checkup this month, his fourth publicized visit to medical experts since returning to office, in what the White House describes as an annual physical and regular preventative care. Trump, who turns 80 next month and was the oldest person elected U.S. president, will see his doctors at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on May the 26th. The president's health has been the subject of tremendous scrutiny, so much so that Trump said he regretted getting imaging on his heart and abdomen last year because it raised public question about his health. The scrutiny on this and the lack of scrutiny is so evident when we talked about Biden earlier. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Biden this morning, but it's one of the reasons why the media has obviously lost so much credibility, because we see what they're focused on when it comes to President Trump and their lack of focus when it came to former President Joe Biden. Early Monday, Trump said he feels the same as he did 50 years ago. I feel literally the same. I don't know why. It's not because I eat the best foods. He joked last week that his exercise regime is he works out, quote, like about 1 minute a day max. Presidents have wide discretion over what health information they choose to release to the public. Trump's doctor reported after an annual physical exam in April 2025 that the president was fully fit to serve as commander-in-chief. His physician, Navy Captain Sean Barbarell, said Trump was 20 pounds lighter since a 2020 checkup that showed him bordering on obesity. Months after the visit reported last April, Trump had a checkup after noticing that the White House described mild swelling in his lower legs. Tests by the White House medical unit found that Trump had chronic venous insufficiency, a condition common in older adults that causes blood to pool in their veins. Anyway, so President Trump is going to get his medical checkup at the end of May. All right, when we come back, President Trump was saying a lot yesterday, not just about Iran. We're going to talk about that. We do have his upcoming trip. We'll talk just a little bit about that to China. A couple things about the redistricting. Also about the Democrats in general. Then we've got a lot about the New York State budget. As you know, here we are, May the 12th, and we still have no New York State budget, which was due on April the 1st. Governor Hochul says that they're kind of getting close and not to worry about it. She does this every year. But remember, we talked about it with Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. She made the disastrous decision last week on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, to say that the deal has been reached. Don't worry, the deal has been reached. And Carl Hasty and Andrew Stewart-Cousins said, absolutely not. It is not. So she outplayed her hand on that one. They called her bluff. She thought it was going to be successful because it was semi-successful last year. So there we're at. We're going to talk about, that's where we're at, excuse me. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I got to take a short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
Month after year, even decades, you've paid into the insurance system. You've done your part. But when you're seriously injured in a car accident or another tragedy, that system turns its back. Insurance companies care more about pumping up profits and stock prices than paying for your medical bills, your lost wages, or your recovery. At WDC Injury Law, we fight to make them pay what's fair. If you've been hurt in New York or Pennsylvania, call 607-500-HURT. Don't let the insurance companies win.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Digio is the fastest growing form of advertising today. And with hyper-targeting, your marketing dollars can be more efficient than ever. Join WYDC and New Logic Marketing for a digital video strategy seminar May 19th and 20th with sessions from 8 to 9 a.m. and 12 to 1 p.m. at the Radisson in Corning. You'll learn what drives results and how to make video a powerful part of your overall marketing strategy. Join us May 19th for an expert look at digital video and learn what works from experts.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Speaking of Hunter Biden, I'm still thinking that was his bag of cocaine left lying around the White House. Nothing ever came from that. It's amazing to me that nothing. Just imagine if that was the Trump administration. They would have tied it to somebody, even if it wasn't factually accurate. So yeah, there was always the whole end of that. I don't know what do you want to call it? I mean, could you even say that they really looked into it? They didn't do. It didn't sound like they didn't do any interviews with anyone. It was just kind of, oh, never mind, nothing to see here. Yeah, no real investigation. Anyway, so did you hear President Trump talking about the 2028 Dream Team ticket? This is a topic we've been discussing a lot lately because Marco Rubio's star has risen. J.D. Vance still doing very well. It's just the media loves this kind of speculation. Well, President Trump described a potential 2028 presidential ticket that includes Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio as a dream team. J.D., I envy you, Trump joked in the White House Rose Garden after ripping Democrat White House hopefuls Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be J.D.? Is it going to be somebody else? I don't know, the president continued. Who likes J.D. Vance? Trump asked. Who likes Marco Rubio? Vance appeared to receive slightly more applause than Rubio. Sounds like a good ticket. That was a perfect ticket, Trump said. I do believe that's a dream team, but these are minor details. That does not mean you have my endorsement under any circumstance, but you know it's perfect. It was a big and then a very nice. It was a big and then a very nice. I think it sounds like a presidential candidate and a vice presidential candidate. So no endorsement yet. All right, always having a little fun with it. Okay. Now let's talk about Iran. We've been covering a lot this morning, a little bit all over the place, but I think all important issues to discuss. I do, since we have just a second before we have to take our last break, keep your comments coming in. And if you're just joining us, we had a wave all the way from Dublin, Ireland, and I have put the pin in the map, so we now have the official wave from Dublin, Ireland. But I did want to remind you, because this is such an important event, two or three that are coming up. Where is it? I had it here yesterday, and we talked about it, which is the Fallen Officers Memorial there it is. On Friday of this week at 6 p.m., the Steuben County Sheriff's Office will conduct the 11th Annual Law Enforcement Memorial Service. This service will be held at the Steuben County Sheriff's Memorial Park, located at 7007 Rumsey Street Extension in Bath. The memorial service honors fallen law enforcement members from Steuben, Allegheny, Chemung, Livingston, Ontario, Schuyler, and Yates counties and their families. It is a very touching, moving event. If you have never been, I highly recommend you go. It's this Friday, 6 p.m. at 7007 Rumsey Street Extension in Bath. I also wanted to mention, coming up, our friends at Sticka are holding Expressions, a cultural afternoon this Sunday at 171 Cedar Street in Corning. It's from 3 p.m. till 5 p.m. The event is supported by a grant from the Community Foundation of Elmira Corning and the Finger Lakes, Inc. A vibrant afternoon showcasing diverse cultural performances. Now, it is limited seats only, so you should go to their website. That would be a fun event. All right, now we got to take a break. Stay with us. Get your last-minute comments in for hour number one, and we'll be right back after this.
Go to your local library, create with the 3D printer, release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Glass Fest the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Down and play, I'll write your name.
You're watching Big Fox, WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Yay! Become a wish maker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. After a bit of a chilly start to our Tuesday, we'll find ourselves with some sunshine, a high near 64, a bit on the cool side, then some shower chances overnight, bottoming out near 45 degrees. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm chances into our Wednesday, a high of 64 there. And then that'll carry into an early morning around Thursday. After that, we should be drying out, accompanied by a warming trend.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. It's funny how you don't hear anything at all about the savings they got from Doge in regards to the federal budget from the media. Yeah, the media never liked Doge from the jump. I see Elon Musk is going to go with, and others too, go with President Trump to China. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Ken writes in, you mentioned the amount of money Tom Massey has spent on his campaign, and it made me think, how much money is spent during a presidential congressional campaign year? If AI and a quick look online are correct, about $16 billion were spent on the 2024 elections, and about $10 billion of that was on campaign advertisement. I should have thought of this before when I questioned what the legacy media gets out of fomenting division in this country. It's billions of dollars. If there was less division, there would be less advertising. I hate to say this, but Elon Omar was right again. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah, Ken, you raise a good point. And the agents, so you've got the campaign apparatus that gets paid. They put in a buy through an agency. So that agency is making a lot of money. that agency is contacting the various stations, the various, whether it's TV, radio, I don't think as much newspaper anymore, but whatever, online, digital, and they're making a lot of money. So you're right, the division helps pay the bills. Some of these, especially when you look at smaller stations, sometimes that's what keeps them, and if they're in a contested state, if they're one that's going to have a heated election, it's sometimes what keeps the lights on. It's what they bank on and budget on for all year. So yes, there is a lot of money to be had. That's why you don't see, when someone has a lot of money, they don't mind even if the candidate stands no chance, because they're going to end up seeing money. So the media very often, not always, but would like to see a bunch of people in there with a lot of money, because they're going to be making it. You're right. All right. Jack writes in, I'm wondering if President Trump watches the show. I'm sure he does. Religiously. Last Wednesday, he used quite a few of the words from my statement, which was, my dream team for president and vice president, J.D. Vance, would still be the vice president, and Rubio would run as president. My dream team for president and vice president, J.D. Vance would still be the vice president. I'm sorry, I worded that strange. And Rubio would run as president. That works in multiple ways, because it would give J.D. time to hone his skills at being a politician and campaigning, and open J.D. up to run for president after 2 terms of Marco. Thank you very much. I'm sure the president's watching. There's a lot of times where the president and some of those big shots in the legacy media seem to be stealing some of our lines. I say that confidently. Your thoughts? Trump calling for the suspension of the federal gas tax as Americans seek relief at the pump, saying, I think it's a great idea. Yep, we're going to take off the gas tax for a period of time, and when gas goes down, we'll let it phase back in. Your thoughts on that? I know the media instantly said, oh, that's not going to be an instant fix. It's not really going to help you, you know. When asked for a timeline, Trump told reporters he would do so till it's appropriate. Temporarily suspending the federal gas tax will likely require congressional approval. Senator Josh Hawley announced on social media that he would introduce legislation to that effect when Congress reconvenes later today, meaning yesterday. So your thoughts on the suspension of the federal gas tax? Trump saying he thinks that's a great idea. Energy Secretary Chris Wright expressed openness to the proposal, saying we're open to all ideas. Everything has trade-offs. All ideas to lower prices for American consumers and American businesses. When the war in Iran broke out, we don't need to go through all the numbers. So your thoughts on that? But that is it for hour number one. We covered a lot. You get more information in 1 hour there than you do on the 24/7 news cycle the whole day. So we covered a lot. Your thoughts on, well, I don't know, where do we even begin? We covered so much. Euphrates River drying up. That's where we kicked off the program. Well, we actually kicked off the program with a wave from Ireland. So your thoughts on all the issues we've been discussing today. We're going to talk about Iran when we return. We also have a lot of New York State updates in the next hour as well. As I mentioned earlier, tomorrow on the program, we're going to be talking about Elmira Heights Board of Education. So if you are in the Elmira Heights area, you don't want to miss that. On Thursday, Taylor Malpas will tell us about him and his brother's new album, the Malpas Brothers, their new album that's a gospel album. Fantastic, what I've heard so far. And then on Friday, most likely, things are a little wacky in Albany, like always. But in theory, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be in on the program. That all depends on what's happening with the budget, because here we are, May the 12th, and the budget was due April 1st, and no real sign of any kind of deal, especially after Hochul essentially lied and said there was a budget deal on Thursday. So that's made a bigger mess of what was already happening in Albany. But anyway, we're running late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this, hour number 2.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Digio is the
fastest growing form of advertising today. And with hyper-targeting, your marketing dollars can be more efficient than ever. Join WYDC and New Logic Marketing for a digital video strategy seminar May 19th and 20th with sessions from 8 to 9 a.m. and 12 to 1 p.m. at the Radisson in Corning. You'll learn what drives results and how to make video a powerful part of your overall marketing strategy. Join us May 19th for an expert look at digital video and learn what works from experts who understand why.
I can imagine any tomorrow without you in it. So today I say, I love you. Get screened. Regular cancer screening saves lives. Visit cancer.org/getscreened.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio right here on Market Street in the historic Gafford District. Let's go through some viewer comments. First up, just an observational comment. Democrats defend their position with anger, defiance, and hostility. On the other hand, Republicans defend their position with a calm conviction that flows from truth. These are undeniable truths and undeniable facts. You know, to your point about anger and defiance and hostility, they've had those protests, and they've had them every Monday since I think President Trump got inaugurated right here on Market Street. Fine, whatever, you know. I was just shocked yesterday to see a sign proudly displayed that said 8647 when James Comey is being investigated by the DOJ for that same exact post. They know that it is being viewed as a threat to the president, and I guess they're playing into that all while, and this is just anecdotally here. This is happening, I read it online, this is happening everywhere too, where I guess they're telling Trump he has to tone down the rhetoric after 3 assassination attempts while they're pushing the 8647. If you're not familiar, 86, like when you 86 somebody, call for violence. You could say call for President Trump's ouster. 47, of course, from the president's number, what president he is. I was shocked to see it yesterday. Someone proudly waving that. I don't know what the justification is. You know what the message is surrounding it. So does that make you controversial? Do you think that gets attention? Do you think that gets people to your side? I think that's a fair question. Comment from a different viewer. Okay. A couple news stories. I haven't had a chance to verify them, but thank you for sending them in. All right, Trump says Iran's ceasefire is on life support. This came out yesterday, but not completely dead. Trump, who departs for Beijing today, railed against Iran's stupid leaders after receiving an inflammatory peace offering, asking that Iran be treated like the war's winner with no nuclear concessions. It's on life support, he said. I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living. Senator John Fetterman, an outspoken supporter of Trump's war with Iran, told the New York Post that he wanted the president to keep throttling the Iranian economy with a naval blockade. China deserves to feel the pain, Fetterman said. The Pennsylvania Democrat hailed Trump's demand that Iran surrender about 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium, likening the Republican to British wartime leader Winston Churchill. Demanding Iran surrender its nuclear material is maximum Churchillian, said Fetterman. I got a couple other quotes from Fetterman a little bit later on. A national security official told the Post that Trump hasn't restarted full-scale fighting for several reasons, including his hope to enlist Chinese President Xi Jinping's support for a better deal that ends Iran's nuclear ambitions without a drawn-out war. China buys about 90% of Iran's oil exports, giving it significant leverage. Trump claimed Monday that Iranian officials confided that only the U.S. and China could retrieve deeply buried uranium due to the logistical complexity of an excavation, hinting at a potential Chinese role in the endgame that could be face-saving for Tehran. Now, Trump is eyeing renewed military action, according to, I believe this was CNN. One administration official said Trump is going to hit them a bit. We wanted an agreement, but now everyone understands where this is heading. The warning comes just hours after Trump rejected Tehran's peace proposal, calling the offer unacceptable and a piece of garbage. And I see that they are sending. The Pentagon revealed the location of a secret Navy submarine capable of launching nukes. After the rejection of that peace deal, the Pentagon revealed the location Monday of one of U.S. Navy's most secretive vessels, a stealthy nuclear-armed submarine. The Navy's Sixth Fleet shared an image of the Ohio-class submarine and its crew docked Sunday in Gibraltar, a British territory off Spain's southern coast. The port visit demonstrates U.S. capability, flexibility, and continuing commitment to its NATO allies. Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines are undetectable launch platforms for submarine-launched ballistic missiles, providing the U.S. with its most survivable leg of the nuclear triad. The Navy, which operates 14 nuclear-powered and nuclear-armed Ohio-class submarines, did not share the name of the vessel docked in Gibraltar. The submarine's Trident II ballistic missiles have a range of over 4,500 miles. So we know the peace deal was a bad deal, basically wanting the United States to suggest that Iran won the war. But that's not the way CNN presents it. They said that Trump may return to fighting because of oil prices rising and stocks falling. We don't have to go through all the numbers. Trump called Iran's latest counterproposal to end the war a piece of garbage. Tehran's terms reportedly include sanctions relief and the recognition of its sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, ordinarily a conduit for around a fifth of the world's oil and natural gas supply. So they're suggesting something more nefarious why Trump is going to return to the fighting, which is oil prices rising and stocks falling. Okay. Now we're learning more because we have still yet to see their supreme leader in Iran. Some are speculating that he is either dead or gravely injured. Well, the apparent collapse of high-stakes U.S.-Iran negotiations has intensified fears that senior figures inside Tehran's leadership could flee to Russia, seeking refuge to continue their insurgency and undermine any new regime, according to an analyst. The breakdown in talks comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told CBS 60 Minutes that toppling Iran's regime could now even be a realistic outcome. Netanyahu noted that any collapse would dismantle the scaffolding of Tehran's global terror proxy network, also potentially ending Hezbollah's influence in the region. Quote, the whole scaffolding of the terrorist proxy network that Iran built collapses if the regime in Iran collapses, says Netanyahu. I think you can't predict what will happen. Is it possible? Yes, it is. But is it guaranteed? No. So they're calling it like an Assad-style escape. Remember when that happened? Where the leaders, the power players, may flee to Russia. But again, numerous people inside the circle, well, I shouldn't say inside the circle, intelligence people are suggesting that that their supreme leader may not even be alive. With diplomatic options perhaps exhausted and the regime's stability in question, an expert suggests the exit strategy any leadership may be eyeing might be similar to that of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who fled Syria back in 2024. Quote, if the situation deteriorates further, some senior figures could potentially follow a path like Bashar al-Assad's inner circle and seek refuge in Russia. That's according to Middle East expert Said Golker. Golker, senior advisor at United Against Nuclear Iran, noted the flight designations would likely depend on rank. The flight destinations would likely depend on rank. While top commanders like Parliament Speaker Mohammad Barjar Ghali might head to Moscow, lower-ranking figures would more likely seek shelter in Iraq or Afghanistan, where the IRGC maintains operational connections. For the most senior figures, Russia would probably be the most likely destination, again, as we saw with Bashar al-Assad, noting many officials have already moved wealth into financial networks outside Iran. The current crisis started following the death of Ayatollah al-Khamenei, as we know, while his son Mojabi Khamenei was named successor. Reports continue to indicate he was severely injured in the strikes and has been absent from recent negotiations. The only thing we've ever received was written statements. Golker explained that the invisible state was designed to survive decapitation, while the ideological cost of fleeing for leaders would be high. Inside the regime's ideological culture, leaving the country during the collapse would look like desertion. However, as military fractures deepen and succession remains uncertain, the Assad model of seeking Russian protection appears increasingly attractive to those at the top. Mojabi, however, is either dead. This is an important takeaway from this. Mojabi, however, is either dead or in bad condition, that he cannot send any video or voicemail. If he had died from his injuries, there was no clear natural successor. He was a continuation of the regime. Still, the system was designed for continuity during a crisis, adding that the goal is to make sure the regime could survive even if formal institutions were damaged, leaders were killed, or civilian government stopped functioning. I would describe it as a regime designed not to just govern, but always to try and survive decapitation. So that's a quick kind of update. Now, Iran hangs a grad student accused of spying for the CIA yesterday. Efron Sakorzed, 29 years old, was hanged after being convicted for allegedly collaborating with the CIA and Israel's Mossad intelligence services. That's what the Iranian Judiciary Mizan online website said. Norway-based human rights group, Iran Human Rights and Enga, said that the student at Tehran's prestigious Iran University of Science and Technology and had written a message before his execution rejecting the charges as fabricated. Describing his as an elite student, IHR said he was held in solitary confinement and subjected to torture and forced to give false confessions. He wrote a note published from prison prior to his execution saying, "I was arrested on fabricated espionage charges and after 8.5 months of torture and solitary confinement was forced into a false confession. Do not let another innocent life be taken in silence." He is the 5th person to be executed on espionage charges since the beginning of the war. Authorities have also since then executed 13 men charged over January protests, 1 more over 2022 demonstrations, and 10 accused of links to banned opposition groups. Rights groups have repeatedly accused Iran of using capital punishment as a tool to spread fear through society during times of international and domestic tension. Well, of course, they want to send the message that you don't go against the leadership of the regime in Iran. But it's interesting to think that the supreme leader could be dead at this point or gravely injured. I better take a break. I see some comments coming in. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Every job has a moment where it could slow down or it could keep moving. At D&L Supply and Rental, we focus on what actually matters, keeping your momentum. From emergency rentals to weekend projects, we make it easy, we make it fast, we make it right. Less downtime, because our team knows the job, has what you need, and gets it to you even on Saturdays. D&L, built for momentum.
Get ready Glass Fest, May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glass Fest. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Thousands of North Atlantic right whales used to swim along the east coast of the United States and Canada. Collisions with ships and entanglement in fishing gear are killing these magnificent animals every year. They could go extinct in your lifetime. But there's hope. If we act now, before it's too late, join Oceana to save North Atlantic right whales from extinction.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. After a bit of a chilly start to our Tuesday, we'll find ourselves with some sunshine, a high near 64, a bit on the cool side, then some shower chances overnight, bottoming out near 45 degrees. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm chances into our Wednesday, a high of 64 there. And then that'll carry into an early morning around Thursday. After that, we should be drying out, accompanied by a warming trend.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A couple comments from viewers. Nothing will happen to Comey or anyone in that group. A local guy went to federal prison for a post about squad members. Democrats don't ever get locked up. Vote no on Corning school budget. Spread the word. We got a lot covered there. Thank you for that. Yes, the Corning school budget. I'm hearing a lot of people saying vote no. I haven't seen as many vote yes signs either. So we'll be talking more about that as it nears, which it is very close. Coming from a different viewer, you had a viewer write in wondering if the president watched your show. I've written to the White House several times and used the word Democrat. I was surprised to hear the president use it yesterday, even though he hinted that he had independently come up with the applicable term to describe the Democrat Party. Did he say Democrat? Democrat. No kidding. I did not hear him say that. The UAE has been secretly carrying out attacks on Iran. One strike in April hit an oil refinery on Iran's Laven Island. The United Arab Emirates has carried out military strikes on Iran. People familiar with the matter have said, casting the Gulf monarchy as an active combatant in a war in which it has been Iran's biggest target. Its military is well equipped with Western-made jet fighters and surveillance networks, and the attack suggests the country is now more willing to use them to protect its economic power and growing influence across the Middle East. The strikes, which the UAE hasn't publicly acknowledged, have included an attack on a refinery on Iran's Laven Island in the Persian Gulf. The people familiar with the matter have said that attack took place in early April. Enough on that, but you get the idea. Now, it is being alleged that Trump is pushing the Justice Department to target reporters who are covering the Iran war as part of a broader crackdown on sources leaking sensitive national security information. I will say this is a scary position. Now, I know the media is going to fight this and they'll make themselves into a hero. It'll be Woodward and Bernstein, yada, yada, yada. But think of the people, the soldiers it puts in harm's way. I mean, heaven forbid if the media would have heard, and I know some in the media did sit on it. I guess that's a whole nother issue where we have to figure out where these leaks are coming from. But I believe someone was told about the initial strike that killed 40 plus Iranian leaders. If that would have been released, that would have been a failure. So somebody sat on it. I can't remember who it was. But where are these leaks coming from? This was a major problem in the president's first term, and it's got to be looked at in the second term. But he is, in this case, looking at the reporters that are covering it. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump privately complained to acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and at one point passed a stack of news articles marked with a sticky note reading treason, according to an administration official. Blanche has already moved forward with efforts to secure subpoenas targeting reporters' records. Senior officials within the Justice Department have also reportedly met with Pentagon counterparts to discuss the scope of the investigation. Well, if you're leaking secretive information, they have to look into there has to be a cleaning in-house too to find out where this information is coming from. Yesterday, we're moving fast. Yesterday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he hopes to draw U.S. financial support to his country, quote, down to zero. This was during his interview on Sunday. CBS News' Major Garrett asked Netanyahu if he believed it was time for Israel to reset its financial relationship with the U.S., and the prime minister agreed. Absolutely, and I've said this to President Trump. I've said it to our own people. I want to draw down to zero the American financial support, the financial component of the military cooperation that we have, because we receive $3.8 billion a year, and I think that it's time that we weaned ourselves from the remaining military support. I said, let's start now and do it over the next decade, over the next 10 years, but I want to start now. I don't want to wait for the next Congress. I want to start now. Israel's gone to unbelievable lengths to get innocent civilians out of harm's way. We text message millions of text messages to them, make millions of phone calls to them, pamphlets, leaflets, you name it, okay? We have seen the deterioration of the support for Israel in the U.S. almost, I would say it correlates almost 100% with the geometric rise of social media. And that by itself is not what caused it. And I don't believe in censoring them or anything, but I'll tell you what happened. We had several countries that basically manipulated social media, and they do it in a clever way, and that's something that has hurt us badly. And that's in reference to the relationship when you see the Democrats. It's no longer, I think you can even say, a marbling of anti-Semitism in their party. It's candidates are overlooked if they are of a Jewish heritage or if they support Israel. That's one of the biggest attacks on why they hate John Fetterman, because of support for Israel. When asked about the war in Iran, he said, I think it's accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran. There are still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There are still proxies that Iran supports. There are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Now we've degraded a lot of it, but all that is still there, and there's work to be done. Now, speaking of him talking about the unfortunate relationship, especially with the Democrat Party, with Israel, Senator John Fetterman responded to the news that Pennsylvania Supreme Court Justice David Wetch is leaving the Democratic Party over rising anti-Semitism, stating that the party needs to, quote, confront its own rising anti-Semitism problem. I know David and his legendary father, Cyril. As I've affirmed, I'm not changing my party, but I fully understand David's personal choice. The Democratic Party must confront its own rising anti-Semitism problem. Yeah, it is. Listen, well, during an interview last month, Fetterman expressed that while he is proud to stand with Israel, roughly 80% of Democrats view Israel in a negative way. You know, you have like Planter has a Nazi tattoo on his chest, and now it's just released that he was praising and celebrating a video online where Hamas was beating and torturing Israeli soldiers to death. It is a real scary problem. I know we talked about it last week, but when you look at arguably the best candidate that the Democrats have with presidential ambitions, which is Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, I would say at least on the short list, maybe he's no longer really considered realistically because of his Jewish heritage. It's a scary place that the left is in, and we see sadly in the streets, and I didn't mean to get on this because we still have a couple things in Iran, but even, and this just continues to happen, at least 3 have been arrested after anti-Israel mob clashed with counter-protesters near New York City synagogue. The anti-Israel mob chanted, "Palestine is ours alone," and Israel is killing children. During one fight, a person who concealed their face with a medical mask yanked a girl's hair and nearly threw her against a parked car in the process. And I don't need to go through each specific individual. It's scary. It's a scary situation, and John Fetterman is exactly right. That's the Democrat Party's problem. Now back to Iran. Senator Chris Murphy argued that the best course for the U.S. and Iran is end the blockade and declare an end to the war right now, and hope that some other nations will be able to use effective diplomacy to get the strait reopened. So depend on others. That would be great for international power and strength. He has no path to get the strait reopened. See, there's this giddiness. I know we've talked about it too much, but this almost happiness when they think Trump is losing. In Iran, they're not. I don't agree with the premise. But when they think they can say something negative about us, about our military, about the president, and that this is a quote-unquote losing battle, they're excited. So let's go to what he had to say. He has no path to get the strait reopened with his double blockade, so there's no realistic path right now to get the strait reopened. But somebody else in charge, get the Qataris and Gulf countries to the table. Get the European countries to the table. They will inevitably be twice as competent. They will inevitably be twice as competent as the real estate developer, talk show host, and son-in-law that he has in charge of our military operation today. The reality is this is a tested, flawed theory. The idea that you can use military pressure on a country like Iran to get them to bow to your demands. That is Russia's failure in Ukraine. That was the American failure in Vietnam. Over and over again, these nations are pretty stubborn in being willing to endure significant and serious military and economic pain in the face of a foreign invasion. So we should get somebody else to end the blockade because they will be more competent than Trump. Whoa, I'm running late. Okay, one other thing. Senator Cory Booker, who wants to run for president, thinks he's going to be our next president. He said, I want every American to know that Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump are liars. And this is why they are lying with the most insidious aims. The reason why there is still in country highly enriched nuclear material is because Bibi and Donald Trump, who were against the Obama nuclear deal, ripped it up. There was no highly enriched, these hundreds of pounds of highly enriched uranium before Donald Trump and Bibi decided to take us down this disastrous road. So yeah, there is still highly enriched material. That's because of them in that country. Because before that, we had a deal not just with them, with our European allies, China and Russia, to not allow them to get that nuclear material. So that nuclear deal, I had no idea. So even when recently CNN said the nuclear deal that Obama came up with was disastrous, I guess now that was the shining light, the gospel. He continued, so he caused the problem. He's like an arsonist that caused the problem and then says, well, trust me to actually get us out of this, which he has. It's not only a nuclear material there, but we as Americans are far worse off. These are two of the most disastrous leaders on the world stage that have made Israel, the whole region, and the United States less safe, not more. So Trump and Netanyahu are liars, according to Spartacus Cory Booker. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tubs and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Get Red Glass Fest May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glass Fest. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Ken writes in, while it would be great to have the media not broadcast sensitive information, they shouldn't have the information in the first place. And I couldn't agree with you more, Ken. I may not have been clear on that, but I totally agree. This needs to be looked at in-house because this happened so much in Trump's first term. But I'll continue. The people that are actually leaking that information and anyone giving that information to subordinates so they can leak it should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If this was properly investigated and prosecuted, I would bet there would be a lot less Democrats in Congress. Well, and that's one of the concerns when they wanted Trump to go to Congress about Iran. Imagine if they would have went to Congress before the initial 40-plus leaders being killed in Iran, it would have been leaked. And the problem is a lot of this is coming from people within inside his White House because there's still those in the swamp that's still like kind of like the John Bolton attitude that they're smarter than the president, they're smarter than the people that voted for the president, so they should really be the ones in power. Now, he has done a better job with the people he has hired this go-around, but it's still a major concern. It's still a concern that this information is getting out there, so I agree with you, Ken. Now, the Post editorial board said with the Iran ceasefire on massive life support, as the president said yesterday, it's time to resume Project Freedom and get the Strait of Hormuz open to normal commercial traffic. Not trans traffic, of course. The blockade must continue until the Islamic Republic gives up its nuclear dust and verifiably ends its nuclear programs. The president is entirely right that the Iranians have been tapping us along, keeping us waiting, making totally unacceptable counteroffers and generally playing games. Yeah, they're trying to buy time. This is what they've done throughout their history. From the start, Trump said the ceasefire was subject to Iran's complete, immediate, and safe opening of the strait. It's done no such thing. Indeed, it's tried to make the reopening the only thing it does, in exchange for an endless list of U.S. concessions, including an end to the blockade, war reparations, and recognition of Iranian sovereignty over the strait. These are insults, not sincere negotiations. They think this president is as much of a sap as Barack Obama. As Trump also noted, Iran's been stringing the West along in this way for decades, demanding it be bribed to even talk, then splitting negotiations into tiny slices, each of which is then stretched out endlessly, with even interim agreements evaporating along the way. Enough. Our Gulf allies are now on board with Project Freedom. They should help execute too, as should other allies with an interest in getting the oil and so on moving again. Britain sending at least one ship to the Gulf can do more than monitor the situation. What's needed isn't merely U.S. Navy escorts, but decisive U.S. action against any effort Iran makes to stopping shipping. Sink every boat that tries anything. Eliminate every site a missile or drone is launched from. Resume targeting all entire military command and control assets. Get back to taking out every Revolutionary Guard officer we or the Israelis can find. Whether or not the Allies finally finish the bombing campaign interrupted at the start of April, keep squeezing Tehran until it agrees to the no nukes term, including, as Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump both insist, handing over its stockpile of enriched uranium. As best we could tell, the only reason to stick with life support for the ceasefire is to avoid complicating the president's talks with China later this week, but afterwards he might as well pull the plug and proceed to impose Washington's will without getting dragged back into the talk stall. The regime's leaders think they can outwit us, but we have no need to wait on them. They can't stop us from reopening the Strait of Hormuz or continuing the blockade. Trump can go ahead with that until they meet his conditions, or Iran finds new leaders who will. And there's a lot of questions, as I mentioned earlier, surrounding the the supreme leader of Iran and his health at this point. Iran's unacceptable deal means the U.S. must open the Strait of Hormuz by force, according to Mark Montgomery. That's where it looks like we are at in this scenario. This morning, Project Freedom should resume and continue until every ship seeking the transit the strait can do so safely, freely, and without paying tribute to the IRGC. This is the essence of freedom of navigation, and the world is watching to see if America still believes in it. Well, according to Senator Chris Murphy, we shouldn't. We should give up. We should let somebody else figure this out because Trump isn't up to the task, according to Democrat Senator Chris Murphy. But I think Glenn H. Reynolds has an interesting point on this because it's not just on Iran, it's on China. President Donald Trump has been compared to many historical figures by opponents. Well, opponents claim he's Adolf Hitler, and by boosters who cite Andrew Jackson or Teddy Roosevelt. With his blockade of Iran, though, maybe we should start comparing him to General Winfield Scott. In the mid-19th century, Scott was America's preeminent military mind, the architect of victory in the Mexican War, and the grand old man of the Army. As the Civil War loomed, he developed a plan to defeat the Confederacy with the smallest number of casualties possible. He called it the Anaconda Plan. And like its namesake, is about applying a squeeze and squeezing hard until its object was squeezed to death. Rather than winning a single decisive battle or a series of major confrontations, Scott wanted to cut the Confederacy in two by seizing control of the Mississippi River while choking off the South's foreign trade, upon which was enormously dependent for both money and material, with a naval blockade of its Atlantic and Gulf ports. Scott's plan had few takers at the beginning, when enthusiasm on both sides thought the war would be finished in months, with daring cavalry charges and the like. But when that didn't happen, the plan became the basis for the Union war strategy, and it worked. The South was beaten on the battlefields, but its loss came in no small part because it was being economically squeezed on all sides. Today, Trump is following a similar strategy both at home and abroad. With Iran, he's choking off the regime's oil money, and secondarily, he's restricting China's oil supply. The U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz means Iran's oil exports are stuck and piling up. With little room to store the accumulating product, shutting down the wells could do permanent damage. Iran's alternative trade routes, with Russia via the Caspian Sea and with China via road and rail, are meager in comparison. The regime cares little for its suffering people, but the blockade means money isn't coming in, the Revolutionary Guards aren't being paid, and foreign militias are getting restive. By keeping Iranian oil from reaching its destination, chiefly China, Iran's former customers now must pay market price in dollars for the oil they need. Meanwhile, Trump has also cut deals giving the United States control of vital maritime chokeholds in the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, and the Caribbean, all these essential for going anaconda on China should that become necessary. China's put a lot of effort into getting ready to invade Taiwan. Trump has been putting effort into gaining the ability to strangle China if it does. Now, this goes on, but I thought it was an interesting piece. But Trump is a businessman, and he sees matters of policies from a business perspective. It's no surprise that his attacks on his enemies in Americas operate along economic lines. Trump understands thoroughly. Others will do so in time. So that was, again, Glenn Harlan Reynolds. Now, Stephen Collison, the military expert at CNN, and I say that sarcastically, said the Iran war could weaken Trump in his strongman showdown with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It would be ironic if the results of some of Trump's own decisions served to demonstrate constraints on his power rather than the global dominance he hoped to project in Beijing. No win for losing, huh? All right, we got to take a short break. Keep those comments coming in. Now, they do say that China's... no, all right, I always do that, and then I keep running late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Making arrangements is one of the best gifts that you can give to your family. When you prearrange your funeral, you have taken away all questions and all doubts what your final wishes are. In a cost-free, no-obligation appointment, we can sit down with you and answer any questions that you have. And we will meet you at your home or at the funeral home. Your family doesn't have to tell your story. You can tell your story for yourself.
Visit carpentersphillipsflint.com.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. After a bit of a chilly start to our Tuesday, we'll find ourselves with some sunshine, a high near 64, a bit on the cool side, then some shower chances overnight, bottoming out near 45 degrees. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm chances into our Wednesday, a high of 64 there. And then that'll carry into an early morning around Thursday. After that, we should be drying out, accompanied by a warming trend.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. The fact that the Democrat Party has admitted in so many words and actions that they're anti-Semitic. Well, Van Jones said that there was the marbling in the Democrat Party of anti-Semitism. Explicitly shows just how hypocritical they are. Because of this, I have to wonder how many of them are pro-black, pro-women, pro-Asian, pro-Hispanic, and so forth. And this observation extends to the Democrat comrades in the fake news. Thank you very much. Coming from a different viewer, I'm wondering if Trump could have military escorts for the ships that go through the strait, perhaps organize traffic to follow paths that can be monitored, place buoys to keep the traffic in line, and to make it more manageable and safe. Buoys, excuse me. Right? All right. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, how is Trump's Mar-a-Lago-sized swimming pool coming along? People in Washington hate it. Okay. Uh-oh. Now that they hated securing their streets too when Trump got involved too, but now Secretly, they seem to like it, right? But okay, now the price tag has jumped from $2 million to $6.9 million. Typical Trump project. He hires his buddy to do the job for $2 million. Then he subs it out to the company that's really doing the work for another $4.9 million. Trump's buddies then pocket the original $2 million. Typical Trump. Then he puts a gold statue of himself in front of one of his golf courses. Now let me ask you a question. When a statue or someone is dedicated, isn't it dedicated by someone or organization other than the person the statue is of? Trump buys his own statues and dedicated it to himself. He needs professional help. Trump, back to his phony war stories. Oh, the ceasefire is on major life support. We've been hearing that boulder dash for weeks because Trump is weak and is a taco. Explain that a little bit more, Rick. That's why he's saying that it's on life support, is because he's weak and is a taco, which I don't think makes sense. Trump, because if you read that sentence accurately, because Trump is weak and is a Trump always chickens out. Doesn't quite add up. Maybe after the Xi trip, he's scared of him too. 80% of Iran's oil goes to China. He should be scared. It'll be fun to see how Trump gets out of this mousetrap. Now he wants to drop the federal gas tax. Why? Let's pay $4.25 with no gas tax instead of $4.50 with gas tax. We'll end up paying the gas tax back down the road anyway. Does 25 cents a gallon really mean anything to anyone? I think so. I would think. How about health insurance and lowering the cost of food, clothing, etc., and have us pay for this ballroom? $1 billion for his $300 million ballroom. If you think Trump's ballroom is a national priority, now listen to this line. This is where it gets a little questionable, Rick, but I'll do it anyway. If you think Trump's ballroom is a national security priority, you're a loser like he is. Just keep in mind, I wouldn't, on the other side of the coin, I wouldn't be using language like that or reading those comments. But there we go. I read it anyway, just so the fairness. Ken writes in, what we need is Gort, the android warrior from the movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Oh, wow, it's been a long time since I saw that. He was the intergalactic policeman that monitored aggressive actions of countries on worlds that he patrolled. And any country that mounted any aggression towards another country would be completely destroyed. If Gort had been here, Iran, for that matter, several other dictatorships, would have ceased to exist many years ago. Nice reference, Ken. It's been a while since I thought of that movie. Comment from a different viewer. Why is in America we condemn Israel when they just want to stay in their lane, but when attacked by people whose religion teaches covert, kill, or enslave, they're the bad guys? Israel isn't killing random people who disagree or throwing people off of buildings. I totally agree. No, that's what's been so frustrating with this. That's why we talked about the protesters that are out there protesting Israel and being anti-Israel and anti-Semitic, but then you have yet to see them support or anyway give a platform to or a soapbox to the victims in Iran. They are held to a different standard in Israel because there's already that built-in hatred for them, unfortunately. I'll never understand it, and that's why John Fetterman is saying that the anti-Semitism problem has to be looked at and addressed inside the Democratic Party. Now, according to The Atlantic, China's long game is to patiently wait for the United States to flame out. Yet China's leaders remain confident that America's challenges are more severe than their own. They are making a long-term bet that the United States is hastening a decline that will necessitate a more central and powerful role for China in a new world order. Whether this gamble pays off rests in no small part to what the United States does next. Now, Trump is visiting starting today. He's being accompanied by numerous executives. You've got Tim Cook of Apple, Larry Fink of BlackRock, Steven Schwarzman of Blackstone, Kelly Ortberg of Boeing, Brian Sykes of Cargill, Jane Fraser of Citi, Jim Anderson of Coherent, Larry Culp of GE Aerospace, David Solomon of Goldman Sachs, Jacob Tizen of Illumini, Michael Miebach of MasterCard, Dina Powell McCormick of Meta, Sanjay Ricardo of Micron, Christina Ammon, Qualcomm, Elon Musk of Tesla, and Ryan McNerney of Visa. It's been a little while since we heard about Elon Musk and his friendship with Trump. All right, so yes, how am I doing? Okay, I know we got to get to. Virginia Democrats are asking the Supreme Court to help after the VA Supreme Court ruling, the Virginia Supreme Court ruling. Virginia Democrats seek Supreme Court's intervention over the Virginia Supreme Court gerrymandering ruling. On the other side of the coin, the Supreme Court is allowing Alabama to redraw congressional maps before the 2026 midterms, and it could ultimately eliminate 2 Democrat seats. In a 6-3 ruling, the justices vacated a lower court order requiring Alabama's congressional map to include 2 majority black voting districts. The seats are held by Democrat Representatives Terry Sewell and Samari Figures. The ruling follows the High Court's landmark decision that we already knew. Now, and even the New York Times admitting that Republicans are still drawing House maps while Democrats are stuck. The GOP has seized an edge on redistricting thanks to 2 high court rulings, and it has more room to maneuver for extra seats before the midterms. Remember, this was Hakeem Jeffries' big win. It has since failed. Now, Jeffries is easing the mind of Democrats, and he's still guaranteeing they'll win back the House. Democrats will take control of the House of Representatives in November, said Hakeem Jeffries. This is nothing the extremists can do. There is nothing the extremists can do to gerrymander away the reality of their failed records. The Republican economy is a disaster for working-class Americans. Isn't that interesting? When they do it, it's not gerrymandering. But when Republicans, it's, you can't follow the rules or the changing of rules. So, easing their mind. I know, I'm running late. Stay with us. We got a lot to cover. We still have New York State updates. Get those comments in as we get ready to wrap up today's discussion.
William Mattar has a reputation for being a good guy.
Because I am a good guy.
For being focused on motor vehicle accident cases.
Because I focus on motor vehicle accidents.
For fighting for his clients.
Because I fight for my clients.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Mattar. Visit WilliamMattar.com.
What better start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Glass Fest the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Governor Hochul defending the state budget process. Here we are on May the 12th. The budget was due, as you are well aware by now, April the 1st. She defended the process after brief conflicting messages from her and Carl Hastie that happened last week. We talked about it with Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. This idea that she thought she had a real good bargaining chip by coming out and saying they had reached a deal. They had not reached a deal, and Hastie was mad. Hastie and others in the state legislature have long been critical of Hochul and other governors for the use of budget negotiations to drive policy changes. This is coming from Spectrum. After the spending plan lapsed to become the latest state budget since 2010 on Saturday afternoon, if you're hoping to see Hochul moderate her strategy next year, don't hold your breath. She said yesterday, I'm using the procedure which has been in place for many years. It's not something that I came up with. If the budget is the only way I have to do it, I'm going to keep doing it. Hochul has long defended her use of the budget in pursuit of policies. We could be talking about dollars perhaps earlier, but I need commitments that what is important in the policy part. I mean, New Yorkers are excited about the policies probably more than they are to know exactly how many dollars are going to X programs. Okay. I think if you look at what we've done for the last few years as details start leaking out from conferences on policies that I put in, like we're just out there explaining what they are. And I was very specific. When I came out and said there's a lot of details to be worked out, a lot of finances, rewriting history. Oh, no, I didn't say it was done. State Senator and friend of Frankly Speaking, Tom O'Mara, said we are now 6 weeks late on this budget. We are now 8 days away from every school district in this state voting on its budget, not knowing what amount of money is going to be designated in this budget. Yeah, just going on guessing. Now, Governor Hochul says she's living in reality when it comes to rolling back New York's climate laws. As she announced a general agreement on the state budget last week, the governor said she has gotten much of what she wanted. Quote, New York has led and will continue to lead on clean energy and climate. But reality has been harsh. We cannot meet the current timelines without driving energy costs higher. The facts bear that out, and I cannot let that happen. Ooh. This is going to get interesting because we know many, especially in the one-party rule in Albany, they're not happy with any changes to the climate policy coming from Albany. But Governor Hochul's saying they have to roll back the climate law because she's living in reality. First, the 2030 mandate will be eliminated and replaced with a new goal of 60% emissions cut by 2040. The mandated 85% cut by 2050 will remain in place. The second rollback is potentially more consequential. Hochul says the state will adopt a new method for calculating the impact of its emissions, assessing their effect over 100 years instead of the current 20 years. The move will instantly put the state far closer to meeting the emissions target without making any meaningful changes. Environmentalists view this as betrayal. It comes less than 7 months after Time magazine named Hochul one of the world's most influential climate leaders of 2025. Stefan Edel, from the director of New York Renews, said, we really do see the governor as having leaned in a very undemocratic way to force the legislature to change what is the law of New York based in science. So I wouldn't normally agree with Hochul. I'm glad she's making the changes, but I don't know if she's living in reality when you look at the rest of the budget. But we've got to take a short break, and then we're going to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking and get your last second comments in, and we'll be right back.
When it comes to home improvement, Horsehead's Do It Center has you covered. Family owned, locally trusted, and packed with everything you need for any project. From top quality tools to kitchen and bath essentials, we make it easy. Competitive prices, expert advice, friendly service. Visit us at 124 North Main Street or online at doitbest.com/horseheads today.
They say when you love doing something, it stops being a chore. Ferris mowers with patented front and rear suspension are designed to turn hard work into an easy ride, no matter how rough the terrain. Quality cut, less fatigue, more control. Feels like the grass can't grow fast enough. Feels like a Ferris.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. After a bit of a chilly start to our Tuesday, we'll find ourselves with some sunshine, a high near 64, a bit on the cool side, then some shower chances overnight, bottoming out near 45 degrees. We'll have additional shower and thunderstorm chances into our Wednesday, a high of 64 there. And then that'll carry into an early morning around Thursday. After that, we should be drying out, accompanied by a warming trend.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Mark writes in, Hochul living in reality. She is so far out of reality, it's pathetic. Vote Bruce Blakeman and vote no to the Corning Painted Post school budget. Thank you, Mark. I do appreciate that. Speaking of Blakeman, they're trying to kind of do these hit pieces on him. Fred LeBrun says, ever heard of Blakeman? He's running for governor. You'd hardly know, but there's a gubernatorial election in New York in 6 months. Then again, guess who's the Republican candidate? Okay, you're not alone. His name is Bruce Blakeman. He's from the kingdom of Nassau County at the tip of Long Island, and he is under the mistaken impression that because his counterpart 4 years ago, Lee Zeldin, also of Nassau County, did surprisingly well against Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul, so will he. He is also apparently under the equally mistaken impression all of upstate is uniformly MAGA red, so he doesn't have to campaign up there. Well, I wouldn't agree with that. He campaigned here. He was on the program. Zeldin had little to do with his own political showing in the governor's race. Hochul ran the worst campaign in modern state history. That election was all about her. Lucky for us, it went the way it did, though. Zeldin has turned out to be the perfect Trump toad, destroying the Environmental Protection Agency. Imagine what he would have done to our state. So I believe, this is from the Albany Times-Union, showing completely their bias. I know it's an opinion piece, but that we would be better off that Governor Hochul won than Lee Zeldin, and to suggest, embarrassingly, really, to suggest that he had nothing to do with his own political showing. He's one of the hardest campaigners I've ever seen. Now, Governor Hochul did run a very horrible campaign. He was focused on public safety. That had all to do with him, and that was a big winning issue. Hochul was focused on abortion. But we'll continue. Upstate is actually more purple than red. And the further right the Republicans go, the less key, largely suburban voters are likely to follow. Likewise, a wacky, too far left Democrat fares no better. That independent votes, the latest growing bloc rivaling the rural deep red and urban blue, keeps it competitive upstate, certainly more conservative than downstate, but by no means a predictable electorate in the aggregate. It all depends on the candidate. It is not true Blakeman hasn't been upstate. He has seen twice in Clinton County, population 79,000, in the Plattsburgh area, and Newsday reports he was at a fundraiser at a golf course a week or so ago in Saratoga County. He was on this program 2 weeks ago. He was in Corning 2 weeks ago. I don't want to go on to this hit piece anymore, but they must, again, Hochul's people must be scared, whether it's the matching funds issue or whether it's this. Only now Donald Trump owns it. He can't blame Joe Biden anymore. What's this have to? Oh, with what Blakeman and Trump are handing her, if Governor Hochul can't stick Trump and Blakeman with the bill, she doesn't deserve the job. Okay. New York bill would put corporate executives on the hook for, quote, knowingly causing a catastrophe. A proposal introduced yesterday would hold corporate executives criminally liable when they knowingly cause harm to New York's safety, health, and environment. That's important to take that away. I don't want to go through any more of that. Oh, by the way, they banned that certain kind of flour, although Hochul hasn't signed it yet, but they voted on it, which for some reason they believe it's called bromated flour, used in a lot of bagels and pizza. But last month, by a wide margin, legislators passed the Food Safety and Chemical Disclosure Act, which bans potassium bromate with any food sold in the state. The bill will now go to Governor Hochul. A spokesperson said only that the governor will review it. That does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you for all the great comments, all the great discussions. We do appreciate it. We covered a little bit of everything this morning. We do have a busy week. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Elmira Heights Board of Education, so you won't want to miss that. And as we all know, the school budget votes are coming up very shortly, which is interesting because we still don't have the state budget, surpassing the longest. I had originally been told May 18th, but I guess it was May 8th. It must have been a typo in one of the pieces that I read. But yes, we are now at the longest budget. Delayed budget, but second largest. There's one that lasted, I think, until August, not that long ago, but this one, second longest. So we'll keep you updated on that. But that does it. Thank you for joining us. This has been Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I look forward to it already.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Whether you're in the market for new, used, or certified pre-owned, Simmons Rockwell locations across the Twin Tiers have more of what you're looking for with our best price right on the windshield. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
Glass Back the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.